Where does a bat eat his dinner?
In a cave? No, not in a cave. Outside of a cave. That's my guess.
On home plate, and he has a ball.
Terrible.
Hungry Squared, bringing you the best food talk anywhere.
Welcome to the Hungry Squared podcast where the brain and belly meet. I'm Sharon from the Wasatch Cooking Guide.
And I'm Winter from theredparty.com. This week we are talking, we're busting food myths.
Food myths.
Yeah, we're busting them.
Food myths or food truths?
Food myths and truths.
All right.
There's a lot of in that, and I can't say them. Let's talk about it. Sharon, how have you been this week?
I've been good.
Have you?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
How have you been?
Oh, pretty darn good too, actually. It's been a pretty decent week.
Good.
Anything interesting that you ate this week?
Yes.
What is it?
Well, one of the biggest requests in my house for dinner is curry.
It is?
Yes. Both boys love curry.
Really?
They love it. They will eat it.
I don't know why I wouldn't suspect that, actually.
I know.
That's great,
yeah.
then.
So I make this kind of same-ish curry all the time, but I want to branch out. It's just a basic curry powder and coconut milk is the base, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
It's tasty.
Yeah.
It does the trick. I put in some heat, either through cayenne or sriracha or whatever.
Potatoes, carrots.
Yeah, and just whatever I put in it varies.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the base.
Okay.
That's your base. But this week I tried chicken tikka masala. So we kind of got away from the Thai-based curry a little bit and headed over into the Indian territory, and it was really good.
And they liked it?
They loved it.
Great. They just love curry. That's so weird.
Yeah. So
it's not weird. It's great.
Well, the thing about this one that made it special was that I made a tikka masala paste.
Okay. What does that entail? Describe to our listeners what that entails, and where'd you get this recipe?
Pinch of yum.
Oh, excellent. Okay. So start with the paste then.
So the paste, you can freeze it. So you can make it ahead of time and freeze it and just use what you need.
Okay.
I hadn't made this before, so I made a batch. And so I took what I needed and then I'm freezing the rest, and I'm excited to use it in the future because it's a really nice concentrated flavor profile.
Okay.
And you can just put it in your pan and
sweet.
Use part of it for marinade for the meat, and then you use it in your pan. And then once you add your liquid, you've got your perfect spice concoction.
That's
really
awesome. Good. Okay.
So there was some almonds, lemon juice. I juiced like a whole lemon in there. Oh, lots of different herbs and spices.
Okay. Sweet.
So, and then I blended it in a blender. It calls for a food processor, but I did it in my blender.
It works.
It was quick.
Yeah.
It's technically so once you make this paste, then this curry becomes a 5-ingredient curry, and it whips together really quick.
Sweet. Because it's already done. The main part is already done, and then everything else just kind of gets tossed in.
Yep.
5 ingredients.
Yeah.
That's great.
Super easy.
Okay, I'll post a link in the show notes to that recipe, and you can give it a try yourself, and hopefully your kids like it too.
Yeah. Pinch of Yum has a lot of really great, quick, easy recipes. Lindsay and Bjork are awesome.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
Chocolate chip cookies from them. Super good.
Yeah.
We've tweaked it a little, and they're so good. So try that out.
What did you eat this week?
I ate something that I can't pronounce, but it was dang good. So we went to Gourmandies. It's a local bakery cafe. Is that what you call it?
It's a French bakery.
Mm-hmm. And in Salt Lake, and we just went there for dinner, and we had, there was 2 things that were quite impressive to me. We had an appetizer, and it was basically grilled polenta with a sauce on top, and it was really good. Like,
Is that new?
Yeah, it's been a while since we've gone there for dinner. We usually go for lunch, totally fine. You know what to expect: sandwiches, salads, go get a dessert, that type of thing. Dinner, they've changed up their dinner menu quite a bit. So they had this grilled polenta with this lovely, like, creamy tomato sauce on top with some basil and Parmesan, and it was delicious. So I loved that. And then the thing that I ordered was the thing I can't pronounce, but I think it's salmon en croûte. I don't know. It's salmon that was encrusted in a phyllo dough.
Right. Yeah. I've had that before.
Have you?
Yeah, it's good.
It is
good there.
Oh my gosh, it was so good. And so I guess it's not new. This is not new then.
No, but the appetizer sounds new. Gourmandise for you guys that we're just going off on this.
Yeah.
It is in our old neighborhood that Winter and I lived in when we first met.
Yeah. And so it was one of those places we would just kind of stop by like, oh, let's grab some dessert or let's go grab a salad for lunch or something. So it really was just down the street from us. And so I had the salmon, and it is really is just like a whole fillet, like a fillet of salmon encrusted in this phyllo dome. It's cooked perfectly. And then it's in this lobster cream sauce.
Yeah, it's tender and juicy.
And they served it with some rice pilaf and whatever. I don't like rice pilaf. I'm just going to put that out there.
What?
I know. I don't.
You're a rice purist.
I am. Just give me my dang white rice, people. I just need my white rice and I'm good. So I ended up like the phyllo was, and then the phyllo dough was like so perfectly crispy and like Larry, and then the salmon was perfectly done inside. I was pretty impressed that there's got to be different cooking times and such. So I wasn't sure how that works, but it was very tasty.
Yeah.
So if you're ever in that neck of the woods, give it a try. I enjoyed it very much.
And now for the main course.
Okay, let's get down to our topic at hand. We are busting food myths.
And speaking food truths. Sorry, guys. I really am having a hard time with the th today.
The fizz.
The fizz. So
this is where the lisp comes out.
I'm sure you guys wanted to hear all of that. It's great. Isn't it? Isn't it? Okay. Can we talk? First of all, food myth number 1.
Numero uno.
Sharon, have you heard the myth of that you should never process meats on a wooden cutting board?
Yes.
Is that what you do?
Yes. And I don't feel bad about it.
We actually kind of do the same in our household.
We have a designated meat cutting board though, and we use that meat cutting board for red meat, white meat, and like fish.
Mm-hmm.
It gets washed.
And it's a plastic.
Nope. It's wood.
Oh, it is wood.
Yep.
Okay.
It is a pressed wood cutting board.
Okay. So you've heard that, but you don't really
adhere to it.
You don't adhere to it.
I don't care.
Okay.
I like my wooden cutting boards.
Me too.
And I'll be honest, like I am very meticulous about my utensils and cleaning my kitchen. And so I feel like that's okay. We sanitize everything after.
Yeah.
Like Ike gets annoyed sometimes when I deep clean the kitchen, but it gets deep cleaned. Like, I mean, the sink and the stove, like those are getting deep cleaned like multiple times a week.
That's great.
So,
okay. So
I'm not ashamed.
So Sharon, that's surprising to me because in our household, Lee does not, he does not use wooden cutting boards at all.
I know.
We don't have a single one that we use. We got rid of the last one, I think. And because I'm not the person that food preps most of the time.
Right. So you don't get a say.
I don't get a say right now. Like, unless I start like jockeying him out of the kitchen, then I don't have a say. So, but he does have that. He has that in his mind that you need to process meats, handle your meats on a plastic cutting board.
Right.
I want to bust that myth to a certain extent.
Okay.
So and the thing is, this has kind of persisted by a lot of people, even like big name celebrities, chefs and that type of thing. I mean, like it just happened. So there's actually a few famous studies. They happened kind of in the 90s or so, but they're at University of California, Davis. Dean O. Kleiber, he's a PhD at the UC Davis Food Safety Laboratory. And his research, and I really think that's right, as of right now, I couldn't quite find anything else besides this, but he did quite a bit of studies on cutting boards and food safety. It was pretty impressive actually. Nice. What they did. So it basically comes to the conclusion that there's no significant antibacterial benefit from using a plastic cutting board over a wood one. And the thing that I thought was very interesting, I'm actually going to read exactly what is in his there's a little summary of what he's done. And this is one of the things that he says. Although the bacteria that have disappeared from the wood surfaces are found alive inside the wood, so the bacteria travels through the top layer of the wood into the wood. For some time after the application, they evidently do not multiply and they gradually die. So if they go in, they're going down. They can be detected only by splitting or gouging the wood or by forcing water completely through one surface to the other. If a sharp knife is used to cut into the work surfaces after used plastic or wood has been contaminated with bacteria and cleaned manually, more bacteria are covered from a used plastic surface than from a used wood surface.
Boom.
Yeah. So because of the fact that the bacteria kind of goes in and is kind of
trapped, probably.
Yeah, in a sense.
Yeah.
And so he actually tested, he went through 10 different hardwoods and 4 different types of plastic type polymers. And in the end, he's like, there's no reason to choose one or the other over because it's more antibacterial or that type of thing. The main kind of key though, is that you need to clean it. Like you said,
Right.
you need to be very careful about how you clean it afterwards so that you don't end up contaminating things after the fact or as you process food later down the line. So, but that one was that was like, whoa, okay, this is so interesting that they did some research studies on cutting boards.
Well, yeah. I mean, it makes sense. Knives and cutting boards are essential tools in the kitchen. And that's where I think a lot of cross-contamination can happen.
Oh, yeah. And you kind of think like back in the day, butchers, right? Okay, so this is before plastic, right? Plastics were...
Sure.
So they had butcher blocks and such. And what the butchers used to do to take away the quote unquote smell from their butcher block was to put salt on it. And what was essentially happening is the salt was drawing out the water and probably the bacteria and killing off the bacteria. So the smell was basically from the bacteria,
multiplying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the salt is essentially doing kind of the same thing. So back in the day, and they processed meat on wood cutting boards because that's what they had. So I say, don't be scared. You just need to make sure you are cleaning things properly, regardless if you do plastic or wood.
Right.
Myth busted. I'm just saying. Okay. Next thing, Sharon. Myth number 2.
Myth number 2. Rinsing chicken or poultry gets it clean and ready to cook. And rinsing is an important part of sanitation for your chicken.
Well, I say dumb.
Lame.
I think it's so lame. But I have heard that before.
Have you seen it before?
I've never really seen anybody do that because
because it's gross.
It's totally gross.
My grandmother used to do it. I've
Really?
seen a lot of people. They open the chicken out of the packaging, whatever packaging it was in. Either if you're getting a whole chicken at the butcher and taking it out of like the paper wrapper or, the plastic packaging, like for your chicken breasts in your meat department from the supermarket. And then I'll see them just kind of rinse it under the faucet of the sink.
So just a quick rinse.
Yeah. People get the juices off that way, the extra juice. And some people mistakenly think that juice in the packaging of your chicken breasts is blood because sometimes it's kind of tinged pink.
It
is not.
It is not.
I'm here to tell you it's not. That's just... It's the juice. It's from the chicken. It's not the actual blood.
It's not blood.
Blood that's found in chicken, like at the plant, that gets thrown out. Yeah. The only blood would be coming from like some muscle tissue and stuff like that. But like it doesn't make it pink. It makes it actually red.
Okay.
And that's flagged at chicken processing plants and stuff like that. And they will take that out.
Section out.
Remove that.
Oh.
They'll remove that red chicken. So that's never going to go to you.
Okay. So then, where did this whole washing of the chicken come from?
I think that's always kind of been done. So I've been reading some celebrity blogs, some celebrity chef blogs, Martha. And
did she say?
Well, I'm not sure. So I want to put this caveat out there that I would love to sometime interview Martha / Snoop.
Oh yeah.
Now that they're doing their Martha and Snoop's potluck.
Yeah.
So I don't want to bash Martha. But it is on a recipe on her blog.
To rinse the chicken?
Yes, to rinse the chicken for oven roasting chicken. But I want to say that she does have quite the staff. And so this could be somebody's grandma's recipe that, she's just kind of like, yes, I love that flavor profile. Throw it in.
Let's do it.
But there are instructions on rinsing the chicken in order to prep it, like rinse and pat it dry. A lot of instructions you'll say, like you'll see rinse and patted dry with like a paper towel and you throw those paper towels away. But you don't need to do that. Let me tell you why.
Let's Let's hear it.
There's a thing called heat.
What?
That's how you're going to cook your chicken.
What?
And that's going to kill that bacteria.
What the heck are you talking about, Sharon? This is crazy talk.
I know.
What?
Sarcasm aside, if you rinse that chicken, like say if you rinse anything under a faucet, like you put it in the path of that water will splash, will it not?
Yes, it will, in fact.
If it's your hand, if it's a cup that's catching water, it splashes around in the glass.
Yep.
So if it's touching something that is potentially bacteria laden, as raw meat can be.
Yep.
But, we do have things like
They're
antibiotics or non-antibiotics, like organic and whatever. So you're not really intentionally buying like the salmonella-ridden meat, but it could happen.
It could.
But if you're rinsing it under the water, that's going to splash, and you can get droplets on surfaces that you might not even realize. The black splash of your sink, on your knobs of your sink.
Yep.
On the countertop and work surfaces around you, on your clothes, what have you. And there's a lot of, especially in poultry, there's a lot of bacteria that can be associated with it, such as E. coli, salmonella, staph, listeria, and other things.
And other fun, awesome things splashing
Don't rinse
around.
it around. Don't rinse it off. Like, yes, when you pull it out of the packaging, it's wet.
It's fine. You're going to cook that.
You'll live.
Yeah.
You're going to process your meat on your cutting board, however you're going to do it. Maybe you're dicing it for your stir fry. Maybe you're just trimming some skin off or some fat off to roast in the oven. However you're doing that, that's fine. But make sure you thoroughly wash your hands, cutting board, and utensils that you use to process it afterward.
Yep.
And any work surfaces that chicken got on.
Right. It really is like that's one.
But you're spreading it around if you're rinsing it.
Yeah. I think that's more of an issue is that there's contamination other places that you don't think. You're like, oh, it's just the sink. But you don't know what was laid in the sink or
the sink, And are you deep cleaning with some bleach after you do this every time? Like, I don't have time to do that in the middle of my preparations.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't. I agree. Like, that seems overkill. And also possible introduction of other places of contamination if you wash your chicken.
Yep.
Don't do it. Weird.
Don't do it.
Seems weird. Okay, myth busted. Don't do it. Save yourself a step.
Yeah.
And it'll be safer.
Yeah.
I say.
Yeah. Do it.
Do it.
And also a good reference is the USDA website has a food safety section.
Yeah, they do.
Food safety and inspection. So I know we have some international listeners who are probably thinking the United States Department of Agriculture isn't really one to talk about their meat quality. And perhaps not. Perhaps not. But these food safety guidelines are really helpful.
Yes, they are.
And I've actually seen it. I did want to point out earlier that I've actually seen the instruction for rinsing chicken in a culinary school cookbook that was published this century. I want to point out. I know that some commercial kitchens, like that's their guideline and things like that. But I also want to point out that commercial kitchens are not set up like a home kitchen.
Yeah.
And it's still current safety guidelines recommend that you do not rinse chicken.
Okay.
Regardless of commercial or non-commercial.
Okay.
Kitchen.
That is, okay, so don't do it, people. I say don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
You'll be sorry.
Dun, dun, dun.
Myth number 3.
Myth number 3. Sharon, in order to stay a healthy human being, you must drink 8 glasses of water a day. True or false?
Totally true.
Totally false. Okay, let me tell you where this. So so the thing I love about this is that there's always something behind it. Like, where did this start from? And this was so interesting. So in 1945, the U.S. Food and Nutrition Board recommended that people drink 2.5 liters or 84 and a half ounces a day. However, in that same paragraph and the very next sentence that people ignored was this sentence. Most of this quantity of that 2.5 liters of water is contained in prepared foods. And whatever
What?
prepared meant in 1944, that also like food that you eat have water, especially fruits and vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
So people were basically like, they translated that I need to drink 8 glasses of water a day. Cause that kind of,
Sure.
right. 8 glasses of 8 ounces a day, 64 ounces. So that's why you have those like 32 ounce mugs that you fill up twice and you make sure you get your water, right?
And then if you go to your personal trainer, she's like, you need to drink at least 3.
Yeah. And you're like, what?
You're like, whoa, I can't do that.
So there is this myth saying that you need to drink this much water, 8 glasses of 8 ounces of water a day. And it's because of this guideline that kind of still hung on and perpetuated. And yes, let's be like, you do run the risk of being dehydrated. Your body is mostly water.
Right.
But there are definitely things in your body that help you, that will trigger you to drink water or drink something to hydrate you if you ever start to get dehydrated. Don't get me wrong. There's definitely places if you're doing strenuous work, if you're in a super hot environment, if you're pregnant. I mean, there's things.
We're not saying don't drink water. You should drink water.
Yes, we are not saying that, but I'm just saying that the kind of the scientific guidelines of 8.
It's not stringent.
Yeah, it's not stringent. Just drink when you need to. Water is healthy. And I think also there was a little bit of a push. And I think there's still currently a push happening Michelle Obama was like, drink your water. Don't drink sugary soda pops and juices and that type of thing. Totally get it, because people are getting calories that they don't need in the form of these pops and juices and stuff like that. So technically those can also give you some hydration, right? Like
a little bit, depending on which one you're drinking.
Yeah. So there's still kind of water in that. So there is definitely a myth type thing. There's no hard fast rule on 8 glasses of water a day. No hard fast rule.
Busted.
So I'm not saying don't drink your water. Drink your water, but don't feel like you are obligated to, don't feel like a failure if you haven't drank your 8 glasses a day, because I would seriously fail at that. I do fail at that most days, actually.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that. I'm like, I feel okay. So
yeah.
Busted. That's
Nice.
what I'm saying. Don't feel guilty about that, everybody.
Nice.
Just drink what you need.
Right.
Myth number 4, Sharon.
4. Quattro. An alcohol nightcap will help you fall asleep.
I don't know. I don't drink alcohol, so I don't know. But I have heard that before.
Yeah. So you see like these film noir
Yes.
type.
Have a nightcap.
Yes. Do you want to come upstairs and have a nightcap? Shall we have a nightcap, my dear?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, you see it on Downton Abbey all the time.
Really?
Like they,
I haven't watched Downton
they
Abbey.
have a late night drink before bed type of a thing. They're in the study and they're talking about some dramatic, family event. Somebody's losing all their gold. I don't know. And so they drink this whiskey or sherry or whatever it is. I don't know.
It always seems like a
hard
liquor.
I don't
Are those
know.
considered hard liquors?
Yeah.
Okay.
The distilled kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually false. People will talk about, when they talk about drinking, they're like, oh yeah, it totally helps me sleep better. Like I sleep like a log when I drink. Like it's good.
It's
I get some good quality sleep.
Do you?
You don't.
Are there sleep studies? Please tell me there are sleep studies.
So the Sleep Disorders and Research Center that's associated with Henry Ford Health Systems.
Oh, okay.
They've got a whole, I don't know where this is at. I assume maybe it's in Michigan. I'm not sure. Henry Ford Health System, wherever that's at. There's a lot of sleep clinics around, sleep centers and sleep organizations. There are some in your state, I guarantee you, if you're in the United States. They've done several sleep studies and research studies about alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
This particular one. So the information I'm citing is from the Henry Ford Sleep Disorders and Research Center. But they found that alcohol will actually help you fall asleep faster.
Okay.
On average, about 15 minutes faster than normal.
So helping you fall asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So that's why when you give, especially like maybe your kids, you give them some NyQuil. It's like, bam,
or
they're
me
out.
some NyQuil.
Yeah, so you give like someone who doesn't drink, who abstains,
Mm-hmm.
maybe some cough syrup that has
any sort of alcohol
in it.
Yeah.
You will fall asleep and like, man, that was good.
Yeah.
That was some good sleep. Well, you fell asleep quicker. On average, they say it's about 15 minutes faster than if you hadn't drank alcohol. Alcohol, though, inhibits the neurotransmitters GABA and glutamate, and it dramatically decreases brain activity.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a depressant. So this induces the drowsiness.
Okay.
But one thing to keep in mind is that alcohol keeps the sympathetic nervous system from shutting down. So your body is actually staying partially awake, even if you don't think you're awake.
Oh.
So your heart actually beats about 20% faster.
Really?
Than if you did not have any alcohol.
Oh, man.
So another thing that makes you think that like, hey, alcohol is really helpful for sleep is that your body temperature will drop. Now, through your circadian rhythm and things like that, before bed or as you're falling asleep, your body will naturally lower temperature.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Helps you fall asleep. That's why they say, especially like if you take a bath at night, that will help you fall asleep because you've been warmed up so much. And then getting out of it will
start the cool down process
of your body.
Okay. That makes sense.
So body temperature normally takes a dip right after you fall asleep to kind of help keep you there. But it's a slightly larger drop in body temperature when you bring alcohol into the equation. And this will actually disrupt your circadian hormone schedule.
So it's too much of a drop.
And if you're drunk, so is your pituitary gland. And so it will give you smaller amounts of that melatonin that you need.
Oh.
And the hormones like HGH. So it's giving you smaller amounts at the wrong times. So pituitary gland, no good.
We don't got no time for that.
So alcohol's, it's kind of so it's a depressant. It relaxes your muscles too. Like it kind of you're uninhibited,
Yeah.
And this is depending on how much you drink, right? I'm not talking about like you had a glass of wine with dinner. I'm talking like, right before you go to bed, you're like, I really need this whiskey. You're taking maybe a shot or two type of a thing, or maybe you went out to celebrate something that evening.
A little bit more
than just like your moderate glass of wine with dinner. So it's a muscle relaxant. This is also going to worsen any snoring or sleep apnea that you have.
Yeah. Yes.
So it loosens the muscles around your airway.
And that just
going to keep them open.
And it flaps.
Yep. I do the sound, but that's going to gross you out because I'm right in your ear. I thought better of it just now.
Good job.
So you're not getting enough oxygen to your brain. And it kind of wakes your body up every few seconds at a time to breathe. So you're getting even more low quality fragmented sleep if you already have a snoring issue or sleep apnea issue. It's exacerbating it big time.
Oh my goodness.
Big time. So you fell asleep faster, your body temperature's dropping, but your hormones aren't really, your sleep hormones aren't really regulated, and your breathing's out of whack. So you're getting, even now that you've only been asleep for not very long, you're getting some fragmented sleep. You also experience what's called a rebound effect. So alcohol suppresses REM sleep during the first half of the night that you've had this alcohol.
Until it clears the body.
The second half of your night, your body is going to overcompensate by getting more REM sleep than usual because your cycle's off. So sleep scientists call that the rebound effect. Your body's still trying to compensate, so you're getting the same amount of REM sleep that you normally would in a sober night, but in, say, a drunk night of sleep, you're getting it all in one part of the night.
In 4 hours, you're going to get all of it.
So your REM sleep's relatively light, okay, but it's mixed in with some deep sleep periods and stuff like that. It's couched between these deep periods of sleep. During the second half of your drunken night sleep, your nervous system, which has not gone asleep, it is still alert, makes it much easier to toss and turn, and you wake up without knowing it necessarily. So you're getting
very restless sleep.
And you're getting a lot more sleep disruptions. Something else is that you don't really account for is your liver metabolizes the alcohol, and it can do it rather quickly. You can metabolize a drink between an hour to an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Being drunk, though, or close to it when you go to sleep, it's going to take some time to metabolize that.
Yeah.
But then halfway through the night, you've kind of slept this off sometimes, right? So since your nervous system, again, has not ever fully shut off, and now you're without, because you've metabolized it, right?
Yeah.
So now you're without the depressant effect of alcohol. Your nervous system, since it never shut down, is now highly sensitive to more stimuli.
Oh my goodness.
So when the sun starts when the change from the night to the dawn, when the sun is not even up yet,
that's when
or the birds first start chirping, you're super sensitive to all of these stimuli that you would normally just sleep through.
Yeah.
But you don't now.
Because you're much
and you
more
wake
alert.
up and it makes it super hard to fall back asleep.
Wow.
So not to mention any type of dragging the next day, a hangover, whatnot.
Yes.
And, that might not apply to you because maybe you didn't drink that much alcohol. But even if you have not metabolized all of your alcohol before you go to sleep, this is going to happen to you.
Oh, man.
So just putting that out there.
Wow.
So if you're going to sleep slightly buzzed or drunk, this is going to happen to you.
It's not going to be a good night rest.
Nope.
It's going to be not quality. It's going to be restless.
Yeah. So, you might think that it is, and it usually is like the first part of the night. But then after hour 3,
your body is going to start doing crazy things.
Nope, you're not going to like that. You are not going to like that.
Don't do the nightcap, people.
I strongly discourage the nightcap to fall asleep to. If you plan on, hey, I'm going to be up for whatever reason. I'm visiting with somebody, whatever, and if you want to take a drink, go ahead. But do not go to sleep buzzed or drunk. It's no good.
And I wonder how many people do.
Oh, lots of people do.
Maybe they're just used to the poor quality of sleep.
Yeah. I think a lot of people that do know at this point, or if they've been doing it for a bit, would know to compensate for it.
Yeah. Your body does. You try and figure it out.
Yeah, but you're compensating the next day.
Yes.
Instead of okay, I'm gonna schedule a 6 a.m. workout. You're probably not gonna do that.
No, that's gonna be annoying. I'm sure.
You're not gonna be with it.
Myth busted.
Yeah.
Don't do the nightcap.
Nope.
Don't do it, people. Okay. Can I close up on one last thing?
Yes.
Okay. Have you heard this myth, or have you heard this before, that adding salt to water makes the water boil sooner?
Yes, I have.
Yes, you have. What do you think about that?
I thought it was true.
It's not. Okay.
So you're not lowering the boiling point or something like that of water?
No, you're not, actually.
Like salt water versus fresh water?
Yeah.
Does it boil quicker?
Yeah, so let's talk about that.
I don't know.
When you add salt, you're doing something called a phenomenon called boiling point elevation. So this is an old chemistry thing, right? So it happens when basically a volatile solute. So in this case, it's going to be a dissolvable substance or salt, right? Okay, so that it's non-volatile, and that means it's just not going to, automatically poof. And you're adding that into a solvent, which is our water in this case. And then you create a solution, which is it'll be salt water, right? Because we're talking right. You think of pasta, you're like, I'm going to boil some water.
That's what the package directions say.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So the salt water requires more exposure to the heat in order to boil than the water alone, right? Think about it. So it's because the salt itself is, it just has made it would quote unquote boil at a higher boiling point.
Right.
So you've created this mixture, the solution of water and salt. So it makes the water hotter actually. So the new boiling point, instead of being 212 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 100 degrees Celsius, the new boiling point is increased to 216 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh.
So the boiling point has been elevated. It doesn't make it boil faster. Now there's a little asterisk to this though, because I know people, and I've seen this before, where you're like, okay, the water's kind of getting there hot. And I was like, oh, I forgot to put in.
Then you salt it.
I forget to salt it or whatever. and it's getting close to boiling, you put in salt, and it almost seems like it boils up all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
Does it seem like that? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen that before.
Seems like it's faster.
Yeah. So what's happening there is when you add some salt to kind of simmering or sort of boiling water, it does seem to create more of a rapid boil, like a rolling boil. It's because something called nucleation sites.
What is that?
Yes, I know. I was like, oh, that totally makes sense. I had not heard of this before. So these nucleation sites are kind of the birthplace of these bubbles, the bubbles that are created when you're boiling. So in order for those bubbles of steam to form, there needs to be some sort of irregularity within the volume of water. So, and these are, I didn't realize this, but there's like microscopic scratches on the inside surface of the pot. Because have you ever noticed that they will show up in a certain area and not in other places?
Mm-hmm.
They could be, there could be tiny bits of dust or pores on a wooden spoon even.
Yeah.
And those are considered nucleation sites where the bubbles can form and they go up from there. So think of it like champagne.
Okay.
You know how I've never seen it, but like I've never poured champagne by myself, but like you've seen videos where, and then you see like a little trail of bubbles coming from
from
like
the very bottom.
one or a couple of spots on the bottom, and it just comes from that exact spot. It's
Mhm.
probably because there's like a little, like a microscopic scratch in the glass there, and the bubbles can kind of attach to that spot and kind of bubble off of that point. When you add salt,
It's a nucleation site.
you introduce thousands of nucleation sites. Think about it, like the
So
salt.
the salt performs as a nucleation site?
All of the pieces. Think about how much surface area is on all those little pieces of particles of salt.
Oh my gosh.
So that's why you just like all of a sudden these bubbles have a place to start creating from, and that's why it seems like it starts to automatically boil when you throw in some salt, kind of later on in the process of heating the water.
But if you start with the salt solution, it's not going to boil.
It's
Faster.
still quote unquote going to like, it's going to boil up at a higher temperature. There's an elevation in the boiling point.
Okay.
So totally, it's kind of opposite of what we think. It doesn't boil faster. It boils at a higher temperature, but it does. Yeah, it's not what we think it to be.
That's amazing.
Isn't that kind of crazy?
The micronucleation
Bubbles, nucleation sites.
Micronucleation sites.
Okay, well, those were the myths that we busted today. What are some other food myths that you guys know of that we should know about? And we can talk about them next time. We'll do a myth busted
2.
Yeah. Yeah. Food myth busters. Food myths man.
Or you can be your own myth buster and we'll read your letter on the air.
Yeah. Just send us an email at hungrysquared@gmail.com. Yo, it'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Our podcast is brought to you by our awesome and food loving sponsor, IKEA. So you guys, the summer has come to an end.
Sad.
It is sad, but you have your last chance to celebrate the last of summer.
With IKEA at their Crayfish Festival.
Yep, their Swedish Crayfish Party. It is an all-you-can-eat Swedish, basically a Swedish crayfish spread.
It's a big smorgasbord.
It is, and they will have. Obviously, there's going to be crayfish, but they have plenty of other things as well. They'll have salads and their salmon and their cheeses and everything. So
Lots of yummy sides.
It will be super fun. And these crayfish parties, like we've mentioned before in our couple of episodes about crayfish and crawfish, like we did about 3 weeks ago or so. It's a Swedish tradition that dates back to the 1800s when crayfish fishing was limited to August and September. So this is the time that they're big enough and they harvest them and people get together. It's one last hurrah of the summer, and it's so fun to just get together, and we're excited to do that. Now, Lee and I we did our own crayfish party because we won't be there at the IKEA one, but Sharon and Ike will be there.
Yes, there's seatings at 1, 3, and 7 p.m. and we will be at the 7 p.m. seating.
So
we'll also have some fun giveaways with IKEA.
Yeah, it'll be super fun. So if you want to buy tickets, go to your local participating IKEA. Now, Sharon's going to be the one in Draper,
Yeah,
Utah.
so if you want to party with me and Ike and our family, then come on down to IKEA Draper for the 7 p.m. seating.
And then if you want to go check out where you are living and see what your IKEA is doing, you should check it out because I think it's going to be in the next week or so. So
this is all happening on Friday, September 15th, 7 p.m. at IKEA Draper.
Awesome. Thanks so much, IKEA, and we will see you guys there.
Let's have a food fight.
Food fight, food fight, food fight, food fight.
This is the segment where you can email us with your relationship questions relating to food. Email us at hungrysquared@gmail.com.
Disclaimer, we are in no way professional relationship experts, but you should totally listen to us anyway. If you need professional help, please seek it out.
Food fight, food fight, food fight. The food fight segment of the show. Here we go.
Winter, do you have this week's question?
I surely do. Okay, this is what it reads. It says, "Hey, Winter and Sharon, my freezer is crazy. It's unmanageable. It feels like things go in there, but nothing ever comes out. And my kids wanted to get some toaster waffles, and I had to disappoint them and tell them we didn't have room. Help me manage all my," and she put in quotations, "good intention leftovers and bulk freezer items. Yours, young Mother Hubbard's freezer is full."
The opposite.
Yeah. Oh, Sharon,
I've got a full freezer.
do you?
Mm-hmm.
I used to have a full freezer.
Your freezer is almost Instagram worthy, really.
I know, really. I should take a picture of it and just put it up because it is good looking because my husband cleaned it out. Lee cleaned it out.
Good job, Lee.
Yeah, he's awesome.
How did he do it?
Okay, so how did he do it? I was asking him to buy some stuff for a thing we're doing,
Mm-hmm.
and it required freezer space, and there was no freezer space. I'm that person. I'm this person, and so I feel you because I have all these I'm like, we can save this for next week and freeze it, and we can.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a bunch of hatch chilies that I used half of them, and then I'm gonna freeze the rest so I can do some chili verde.
Yep.
And I have frozen berries so I can have smoothies.
Yep.
And it just over and over and over again. And when was the last time I looked at all these things?
Well, it's hard to see if your freezer is small. My freezer's tiny.
Mm-hmm.
I'd really like a chest freezer, and I feel like I'd be more organized.
Would you? I feel like I would get lost in that. All my stuff
But
would
I'm
get.
not sure because it's kind of like how those principles of minimalism.
Yes.
Like you don't need more things to organize your stuff. You need less stuff.
You just need less stuff. I agree.
So if you're using your freezer items on a regular rotation and using that as part of your meal planning, then you'll get lost less.
Yes. I also think this is what I've started to do. This may help you, young Mother Hubbard. Just be truthful with yourself.
Yeah.
Like seriously, if you're like,
you got to be brutally honest.
you got to be brutally honest. Are you guys really honestly going to unfreeze those leftovers in a week to eat them?
Are you going to make that chili verde? Or
Yeah.
should you just be a kind neighbor and maybe gift them to your neighbors or a coworker?
Yeah, because like food waste is a bummer. Like if you think about it, we waste in our home, we waste a ton of food because we are not being smart about our intentional and aware of what we have in our fridge or freezer.
Yeah.
And so we waste tons of food. So I think you need to just be brutally honest with yourself as you were like, yeah, I'm totally going to eat this. Are you? If not, then just take it out, put it in the fridge. And maybe that you eat it tomorrow because you're going to remember it. Because that's what I fall into is I forget. I have it in there and I'm an out of sight, out of mind type of a person. So yeah, those hatch green chilies kind of got thrown out because I hadn't touched them for a year.
Oh, sad.
Yeah.
Because it is hatched green chili season again.
Now, yeah. So it was a year ago that I put them in there. So yeah, I'm that person. I think also what you said kind of rings true nowadays for us because we did the magic art of tidying up, the Marie Kondo book, right? And so that's kind of what we do with our fridge is like we don't stock a full fridge. You can't see anything in there.
Yeah, it's hard to do that.
And same thing with your freezer. If you have too much in there, you have no idea what's in there.
Yeah, Ike and I have implemented this system where if our fridge gets too full, neither one of us, we're both like that person. We don't want to clean it out because we're just kind of like, oh, the first person who notices it has to fix it. And so we go and then we're like, oh, dang it.
It's time.
It's time because like more things won't fit.
Yes.
And so then we base our meal prep around that.
And you're
not allowed to eat out for lunch tomorrow or the next day because we got to get rid of X, Y, and Z.
That's a good idea.
And even if the foods don't necessarily go together,
you're going to make it work.
You're going to have maybe a rib for lunch with some watermelon and a sandwich.
Yeah.
To get rid of some of that lunch meat.
Yeah.
So it's cooking sometimes unbalanced, but there is a lot less waste.
Yeah, it's cooking the fridge or cooking the freezer. You're basing your meal planning based on what you have kind of left over, so you can get rid of it and not waste, and also save money.
Yeah, for sure.
The other thing I really like to do, so I think people run into problems when it comes to the freezer because it's really just a box, right?
Mm-hmm.
There may be one like
half shelf or a full shelf, but you don't have more than you typically, in lots of freezers, a standard freezer, you typically don't have more than one shelf.
Yeah. So I would say if you can, I really like doing this. Like we do, unfortunately, Lee doesn't know how to not make soup for 100 people.
Which I love because sometimes I get it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's awesome.
So what we would do on that one is that we would freeze the soup in like big gallon Ziploc bags, and you freeze them flat.
Yeah, save some space.
You freeze them flat, and then you can stack them kind of in a bin. So you can get a separate plastic bin and put those up and just kind of store them off, so you can see your leftovers a little better. Because if you can see things in your fridge or freezer, you'll be more likely to use it. At least for me, that's the way I work. So utilize some other organizational tools so that you can see your food, and then just check in there every so often. Just go see what you have and shop your freezer.
Yeah.
For dinner ideas. That's what I say.
Do it.
Any other ideas?
I think those are all really good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good luck. I hope your kids get toaster waffles sometimes.
Or leftovers from the freezer, and then they can have toaster waffles.
Yeah. You're like, this is a goal now. That'll be fun. Have fun with that.
Thanks for joining us today for our show. You can find us at hungrysquared.com on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play Music.
Hey, you guys, share our podcast with your food nerdy friends and family. It makes it so much more fun having you guys as fellow food nerds.
Yeah, thanks for being part of our community.
Yeah.
Help it grow.
It's so much fun. So join us next week for our next episode of Food Nerdery.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Bye.
Hungry Squared, yeah, Hungry Squared.